Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt. Mr. Schmitt, thank you, as always, for coming back on the show. Maybe you heard part of that riff. I just want to get your take. I think Wildwood was a historic event, only beaten by FDR almost 100 years ago. And I think it shows enormous strength from Trump. And the polling corroborates that. And I think the Democrats are on the run. They're scared and they're freaked out. Now, you've been around for quite some time, sir. What do you think about this story?
Well, first of all, Larry, it's worth pointing out, I think you're right. Nobody in modern political history draws the crowds at these rallies like President Trump does. And I think it represents pent-up demand, even in a place like New Jersey, right? The frustration that people see with the Biden agenda, and as they compare it now to what they experienced, more prosperity and a closed border, energy dominance under President Trump. So all that stuff's coming in full view, and I think there's a danger sometimes with polling in that it gives you sort of a snapshot in time. But what you really want to look for is the trajectory. And the trajectory for President Trump continues to climb. And that's a very good thing for the country, and including in those battleground states where it's going to matter the most. I think the good news here is President Trump has, sort of supercharged this multi-ethnic working class party that the Republican Party is right now, and it's growing. You see that base growing, and people are excited about it, and they've made their mind up about Joe Biden. He's been a disaster.
Senator, talk about the polling. I'm just going to bet that Trump's numbers are always underreported in these polls. A lot of people do not want to say they're going to be for Trump, for various reasons. It's not cool to be for Trump. Actually, it's getting to be very cool for Trump. 100,000 people went to the beach for it. But I'm just saying, and I think he's going to do better in the Great Lakes states than people think. I mean, I really do. I know it's basically a toss-up up there. He's got a slight lead in a couple of them. But I think it's underreported. I mean, I think that's the history. All Republicans are underreported, right? I mean, it's just not cool to be a Republican, and even not cool to be for Trump.
Well, I think honestly now being conservative, being Republican is sort of counterculture, right? Because the elites are all these radical Democrats, and if you want to rebel against something, they control all these institutions that look down on everybody. So I'm kind of proud of that. But I also think, to your point, not just in those upper Midwest states, but you look at the numbers that are growing among key demographics, whether it's Hispanic voters or black voters in the Sun Belt states, right? That in Nevada, in Arizona, the polling I think that is most positive for President Trump, I think, is that lead grows in those states, which are up for grabs in November too. So it's not just Michigan, it's not just Wisconsin, it's not just Pennsylvania. It's in those Sun Belt states where he's not just competing, but his lead is growing.
Yeah, he's got double digits in Nevada. You got double digits in Georgia. That's really very interesting to me. Senator Schmitt, you tried to stop all this crazy COVID spending. This is state and local spending. It's funny. You tried to stop it on the floor. I had been riffing about it earlier this week, or maybe it was last week. I don't know. But they're allowing another $350 billion. $350 billion. That's not a small amount for state and local governments for COVID, even when the administration itself declared the COVID emergency over. And the Treasury Department says, well, heck, if you have some plans to spend it, you can go ahead after 2024. So you made the valiant fight. But, some people are saying, there was reports, we covered this last week, that the Bidens have $6 trillion that they could possibly spend, obligated but unspent funds. They're going to try to push it out in the next 6 months, which they won't be able to do. But they're trying to buy the election, aren't they, Senator Schmitt?
Well, you saw that very clearly, Larry, with the student loan debt forgiveness scam.
Yes.
When I was AG, we brought the lawsuit that saved taxpayers $500 billion, $500 billion that saved. But now he's picking away at it. He's trying to, again, buy votes, to your point. But it's not working. The truth of the matter is, for those younger voters that maybe he thinks he's buying off with that debt forgiveness, it's twice as expensive as it was just a couple of years ago to buy a home.
Yeah.
People are getting priced out of the market because interest rates, of course, are chasing inflation, and inflation's representative of this runaway spending. Like, we tried to stop some of it yesterday, but the Democrats were in lockstep to continue to allow, outside of the existing law, just because Treasury wanted to change a rule, to allow them to keep spending on a COVID emergency that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, literally, it's been over for years. The Democrats even declared it over a year ago after most Americans had moved on, but they want to spend. They don't know how to turn that spigot off. We need some adults in the room. I mean, we're $35 trillion in debt, Larry. You talk about this. We're spending spending $1 trillion on the interest now. That's more than we spend on our military. It's unsustainable.
Yes, sir. Last one, Senator Schmitt. I don't know what's happening. Supposedly, reportedly, President Biden is coming out with an executive order for the border, which he said he didn't have the power to before, but now he's suddenly discovered the power because he's so far behind in the polls on this subject alone. But he's going to come out and let's see, 4,000 a week. I think I got that right. 4,000 a week is illegal immigrants coming in is okay. We did the arithmetic. I think it comes to 1.4, 1.5 million a year of more illegals. No one knows what the gotaways are. That's just an astronomical number. So what do you hear about this executive order? And by the way, what is so good about this? What is so good about 1.4 million a year? How about zero? You know, how about putting a time limit and get to zero?
It's a desperate move. He knows that this is the single most important issue to voters. They see it. There's 10 million people here illegally. Joe Biden opened the floodgates. President Trump had a 45-year low in illegal immigration when he left office. They undid all of that success with 90-plus executive orders in the first 60 days, Larry. And that's what led to this. And so they're paroling. I'll just give you this one statistic. We were paroling about 5,000 people a year under President Trump. They're doing over 1 million a year.
Wow.
1 million a year. Totally just, obfuscating all of the immigration laws we have on the books right now. They're not serious. They're for open borders. It's a census play, and it's been a disaster for the country.
Yeah, polling 1 million a year for assault. That's incredible. I didn't know it. Good stat. Very good stat. Senator Eric Schmitt, the best of the best. Thank you for coming back on, sir. Appreciate it.
Anytime, Larry.
All right.